Make you comfortable as much as you can. Happy your mind. Happy be here. Uh, what else? There is no need to worry, right? Let go everything. Human beings are wonderful. Don't you think? Yes, because we have a Buddha nature. We have the essence of what? Churap namjik, the knowledge. Churap namjik. I don't know how to translate. This is 1 hour teaching and meditation. I want more sort of, my student want more practice meditation, if they can. Myself, But when we meditate, first it may be, difficult to concentrate, right, correctly, which means like 100% you're there. It's difficult. You're physically, mentally, sometimes emotionally, a little bit difficult. But if you are truly sort of concentrate, you do not actually notice the comfort or discomfort, your body or other things. You just there, and you just very stable, and everything is very peace and natural, and there's just very good energy, I can say, and very openly. But first time, up and down, but the distraction is completely normal, at the beginning of practice, because your mind is not, what do you call it, disciplined, right? Mind is not really stable, I can say. And but you can't accept it sort of calm down and peace and immediately, so there is no reason to give up your practice meditation, even though it is difficult to concentrate the first time. That's very important. I know most of you are not beginner. It's very easy, I know. Maybe some are new, so there is sort of obstacles. In Tibet we call that the first time when you meditate, and lots of distractions, and like thoughts, and then you lose your sort of confidence and giving up. But that's a very big obstacle, so you should not worry that. And we are human being. We can develop slowly. And whenever you notice that your mind has sort of wandered away or lots of thoughts, bring it back to the object of your meditation, because the more often you notice that you have been distracted, the more your mindfulness is progressing. The pure state of mind is essence of Buddhist teaching. There is a Zen master. He said that Buddhism is study about yourself. To study yourself, he said, to study Buddhism is study yourself. To study yourself is to study to forget yourself. I think it's true, but but Buddhism, it's really true. Buddhism is to study yourself, but to study yourself means not to really forget yourself. But I think it means to go beyond yourself, because one of the cause of unhappiness is attachment, and especially ignorance. We have attachment because of ignorance. So attachment, because when you have a strong, very strong attachment, then you get anger, right? And then you get jealous. And when you have anger and jealousy, then you never experience the peace and happiness. That's very sort of clear, It's difficult to control these negative emotions, but if you know that these are the cause of unhappiness or cause of distraction, and then at least we can do something to sort of calm down, because the minute you calm down, your anger and your face kind of change, and you can experience then peace, So we have to think like that, okay, I have anger, I have a problem because of my attachment. I have attachment because of my ignorance, right? So many, our problems, many of the problems that we have actually, we should not blame outwardly, Oh, I get angry because of him, or, or these things, But we should try to see inwardly from where it comes, my anger, my attachment. For example, the person who doesn't have anger, there is no enemies, right? Because of the outside, the enemy is like how I say, is like a reflection, of one's own anger. When you have the anger due to your own sort of inner anger, then it reflects the enemy appear from the outside. So if you try to destroy or diminish your enemy with your anger, then the other side also get angry, I think. Remember in the 37 practice of bodhisattvas, it says, not having taken the enemy of your anger and seeking to tame external enemies. They simply multiply. Therefore, with an army of loving kindness and compassion, to tame your mind stream is the practice of bodhisattvas. It's true. If you destroy, if you try to destroy uh, one enemy, then more enemies will arise, right? Will arise and appear. And then you have more and more like that. So instead, destroy outside enemies, we should look sort of inside our own enemies, which is, these negative emotions. The anger that causes all unhappiness is our inside enemy. That we need to understand. That's why Shantadeva said that, great master, how many untamed people in this earth? I mean, I'm not, I don't know exactly the translate how he said, but loosely, he said, how many, controlled or untamed people in this earth? Can I kill all of them? But when the mind state of anger is controlled, then all enemies or untamed people are controlled. He also said there is a good example. When would there be leather enough to cover the entire earth? The earth is covered over just with the leather of my, sandals. It's the same thing. If we control or destroy or diminish our inside anger, then outside everything is we controlled. There is no enemy. I mean, I'm talking about anger, most people have this problem, anger. So we have to sort of think about it, our negative emotion. Some people have very, very strong attachment. Some people anger problem. Some people, jealous problem. It's different people, right? But these problems actually, according to Buddhism, it's not really outside. Inside, how you think, how you show then your actions, all of that. So if we sort of not try to control the anger and jealousy, etc., it will be very harmful in our life, physically, mentally, and, emotionally. We have to understand these things, and then, so it's very harmful in our life. So something is very harmful, then we should not do it. I mean, at least we should try to think about it. And not only think about it, but try to sort of do something. And how should we control or diminish? So the Buddhist point of view, all these negative emotions come from ignorance, which is not knowing the reality. Ignorance means, Buddhist point of view, ignorance. Not knowing the reality, not knowing the nature, which means we do not know the real cause of our anger, our negative. We always blame outside, others, the things, the situations, right? We never sort of think about it inwardly. How I control my anger. We never think that. How we control others, the wordly. One person individually, we do that. Society, more and then more, nation, country, we try to control others, right? For example, we have great nation. This is my, favorite nation. But we have lots of enemies. You know that. Because we are trying to control others. And then we control one, and then another arise. And then more and more multiply. That's nature. That's its nature. If you have more friends, and then more, one friend, good friend, and then you will see also these good friends, and then you have more and more friends, and then you're never lonely, never alone. You have lots of friends. You always fun with them. You always, that's how this is how it works. If you have one enemy and then you get more enemy because of these enemies, friends also become your enemies, like that, So, the ignorance, everything is according to Buddhism. We have ignorance. That's why we have anger and jealous and other negative things, because of ignorance. Because, for example, we don't know what is the nature of attachment and anger, because the ignorance. If we have these negative emotions, then what happened? We take actions, right? Physical actions, mental actions, verbal actions, all that. Due to these actions, then it will make sort of everything difficult. And the result is that we all suffer. That's the result. We are doing that. Nobody's doing. Then we are never experienced peace. If you try to diminish all of these negative emotions, you will be free. That's what we call happiness. That's what we call enlightenment. That's what we call awakened mind. Understand what I'm saying? Awakened mind is opposite to the nature situation, or things are they are. Seems to be a very important point to work with, So the idea of awakened mind depends on what is not awakened mind, which is based on ego's sort of manifestation. So the idea of awakened mind is based on the desire to understand what awakened mind is. This is more deeper. If you are ready to give away that sort of basic desire, then awakened mind seems to be there already. Therefore, awakened mind principle is not depends on that or this. It is based on transcendent or go beyond sort of dualistic the perceptions, thoughts. That's why Buddhism is to study yourself. And to study about yourself is to go beyond these dualistic perceptions. That's which is related to basic enlightenment mind. And it is the essence of everything. So the ultimate is the foundation of our living being. That's why we possess a Buddha nature. So when we talk about, Buddhism is study yourself. To study yourself means to go beyond. Because this ultimate, or the awakened mind, or Buddha nature, whatever you call it, is not separate from us. We are in it all the time. It is not somewhere up there beyond sort of, somewhere. It's not. It's like, for example, it's like a web in water. Web in water, exactly, I think same. The web can be, big, higher, high or low, or web can be like other webs, or it can be different. But the web is always made of water. I mean, that's water is the foundation of the web. I mean. So when we realize this and understand correctly, then we are free from everything. The nature. But we are always, going up and down, happy and suffering. This means we're not really there yet. Uh, and it is necessary to have sort of intellectual understanding these things. But I just told you that's not only enough. That's just to understand it's not enough. We have to feel as well as understand everything perfectly, and then put it into our practice. Then, no problem, we can change. Um, and the first time people are very excited to receive the teachings and to practice meditations. Oh, it's wonderful, right? And I like that teaching. I like that idea. But after receiving teachings several times, and without putting them into practice, then people lose. The people give up and lose confidence, and then it's not so much useful to understand just in intellectual, and because gradually more sort of long, what do you call it, grow distant, and finally, almost give them up, then the problem is we understand very well, but we don't put them into our practice. That's why Buddha said two things, right? Listen teaching, understand them, and then practice meditation. Buddha always say that the Buddhism, that these teachings do not live outside. If you do that, useless, no help. But these teachings bring in your life, into your life. Not long-term goal, but day by day, daily life. Never separate. You should not live, never separate these teachings in your life. Then it will help. So it is very important that our practice sort of bring a sense of meaning into our lives, So all the practice that we do in this life is very useful, not only for this life, I could say, but for sort of longer period, or for our next life too, if you believe. So I mentioned this morning all the practice that we do, and this, for example, with my lineage, the teachings and practice, and these generally are given in a certain sort of order, First, for example, the basic meditations, very important. Both Buddhist and non-Buddhist, very important. Basic meditation, basic teaching. gives you, encourage, confident, excitement, And then after that, practice preliminary practice. Once done that, then, introduction to the nature state, the Buddha nature or awakened mind, investigations, lots of things that. Once you've done that, then finally practice dzogchen, Takchut and Toger. So we are sort of advised to practice them in that order because it is very helpful and useful and actually necessary to do it in this way. That's why we need to follow a teacher and lineage. That's why the lineage is so important according to Buddhism. But another thing is not necessarily for everybody, right? So it is, like Mullah and Marba, like that kind of people, it's not necessary. But most people, really better to follow the traditional order and instructions. So because I just let you know it is so important to receive teachings in this way and to practice this way, because these days there are so many different, say culture, or I don't know. Some teacher says that, we are, think about Buddha came to India almost 3,000 years. Since then, and right now we are 21st century. Totally different. People thinking and the cultures and everything totally different. So we have to change also the Buddha's teaching. I said no. I think that's just doesn't make sense. Everything is changing. Buddha knows that. People are totally different and personality. Buddha knows that. That's why Buddha taught so many different teachings and different meditations, all of that. So we, if someone who is not Buddha, then you can't make that, kind of many teachers told me, oh, you can, if you go to America or Europe or whatever, you can't teach about preliminaries, but because they don't like that. Why they don't like that? We all human beings, right? I don't care. If they don't like, then that's not my student. It's very important that suitable teachings for student. That's why actually the relationship between student teacher so difficult. So difficult. It's taking care of student is so difficult. But a good teacher is never given up. So if somebody don't like to practice preliminaries, I think that's he or she should not follow Buddhism. Not become a Buddhist. I think this teacher is good, because they think about the students, what they want, what they need. That's one thing very important. But second thing, whatever they want, you cannot do that. You have to also think about Buddha's teachings. You have to follow that. That's why you are a teacher, That's why you have to teach.
Khenpo, when you practiced the preliminaries, you said that each time you did it, your experience deepened and you received different blessings or different. Can you talk more about that as a way of explaining to
Well,
others?
it's yes, it's uh, deeply understand samsara, how the cyclic exists, these things working. Deeply understand how important think about others, not selfishly, deeply understand and have sort of faith and grateful and appreciate to my lineage, my teachers. Without them, no happiness, no peace, and no this knowledge. That's why I can more sort of grateful and appreciate my teachers, lineages. That makes me sort of very, I can say I would like to practice more and understand samsara. There's a Christian teacher, maybe you know this. He said not nicely about Buddhism. Dalai Lama always say that very important good relationship between different religions. I think that's very important. But this guy said, oh, Buddhism, they don't care other people because individually they are looking for enlightenment themselves. And Buddhism is sort of look down the samsara. It's they kind of, what do you call it? Can I say like social discrimination or social boycott? I mean, like the Buddhist practitioners, they don't like you because you are in this samsara. They don't care you. They always think samsara is bad. Okay, always, because the nature of samsara, the characteristic of samsara is suffering. We always say that. That's true, right? He said that's not good. Samsara is not always suffering. So these Buddhist teachers not don't care others, and once they get enlightenment, then you are here still samsaras, and they just ignore you, and they look down, and samsara is sad and suffering. So that's not completely true. I disagree. Which means I think I have I'm not jealous. I'm not angry with him, but his ignorance. I mean, he doesn't understand Buddhist teaching at all. I think maybe a little bit. He's right because we always say samsara is suffering, but it is suffering if you really. It is suffering if you really investigate and if you really understand what is the cause of samsara, and then you will find that. But that doesn't mean that we look down samsara and we don't care others. We really, especially the Mahayana tradition, only cares others, ignore ourselves. You know that bodhicitta and great compassion, I mean all of that. So anyway, so that's not true. But you have to check yourself when you meditate, and uh, it's really helpful or not. I think if you understand, for example, like the outer preliminary four thoughts that change your mind, it makes you really happy and opens your mind. Um,
and by that you mean precious human life, death,
exactly, precious human life,
karma,
impermanence life.
karma,
This also order. It's the first precious human life, then impermanence life,
death,
then the cousin karma,
and samsara.
right? So causing karma, everything's causing condition depends on. Especially in here, for me, like when I think about the impermanence life, it makes my mind really open and less attachment. That's I experience when I think about, always think about impermanence life. Less attachment and more, your mind is be very comfortable. Whatever you face on, the circumstance, bad or good, it's always okay. It's always fine. So I think that's why, people, I always think that people really like to practice meditation, but there is always, laziness, right? I think because of we are not really deeply enough to think about impermanence life. If you really think about that and you recognize completely, and then it's just automatically, practice, and really also happily. That's why I think the four thoughts, the first, right, and then the outer preliminary, and then we have inner. I can't, I yeah. So I can't really, the benefit. Talk about the benefit of practice preliminary. It's for me. I think for everybody same. My life is so easy and happy all the time. And also, you know, uh, never forget the my motivation. Whatever I do, motivation of the great bodhicitta, great compassion. So it's very important. I always talk about this motivation, right? Great bodhicitta. So that's I will tell you a little bit later, but if I talk about sort of the practice meditation on my own experience, maybe we are a little bit different, thinking, but when I think about my life, I always think there is really not necessarily um, um, brain worries and stress, all this negative and anger and jealous brain in our life. It's not necessarily. There are many ways you can give them up. I mean, you can destroy and diminish. I mean, because it's harm not only for others but harms in our life physically, mentally. This jealous and anger. Then it's a later. I mean, better. Something is very harmful. We should not do it. But it's difficult because long time we have these negative emotions. We kind of accustomed habit. Habit. So that's why it's difficult to change right away. Or condition, yeah. But yeah, people think that because I'm unhappy because of the condition of outside conditions. But if in your mind, if you have a peace and happy mind, it really doesn't bother you what outside conditions looks like. It's you always your mind is peace and happy. So we should think about it. We should think about these negative emotions, okay? Always. Some people I know don't like to think about it because they think if you think about it, then it brings your mind sort of more difficult. But that's not true. That's not true at all. I always think about them, and it makes me very happy and more open. My mind. And then we have also problem with if I say, oh, diminish your attachment, and then most people don't understand. Oh, and then what about my family? What about my children? That's totally different situation. We're not talking about do not love your family. Love and attachment, totally different. Love is positive, emotion. Attachment is negative. They're totally different. We can say if you attached to something, then it's possible and very easily to get angry because of attachment. But we can't say if you have a great love, then you get angry because of my great love. No. That's totally different cause and conditions. If you touch to something without love, then it brings you very negative. But if you think about these things, then you more sort of your life. It's. I mean, this is very important. I think we really need to think about our life, just day to day. Maybe like if you can moment by moment. And then your mindfulness really, you can develop that way, If you think about your life, try, that's just another word, try to control your negative thoughts. Buddha never say you never say that you cannot have these negative thoughts, but try to think about it then. So I'm totally lost. That's okay, okay. That's okay. I'm talking about our lives, you know. Um, do you have any questions?
I'm really glad that you talked about attachment and love, like you clarified how one of them is good and one of them is negative. So you might have been lost, but it was very helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm great to hear that. Yeah, you have to think about the results, right? If you have a strong attachment, I think then easily, especially we say that get jealous, you know. Um, that's we can see in this world, in our family, especially if you have a strong attachment without really love and kindness, and then easily, you know, arise the other negative emotions, which is such as, you know, anger, jealousy, all of that, because of the attachment, because of ignorance, right? If you have a great love and kindness with your family, then everything is fine. I always love you. Everything, whatever you want.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I hardly ever get angry, but when I do, it's like lightning strikes. It is
Yeah.
so strong. So how can I look at that anger and have clarity in that moment? I mean, how do you work with not increasing the anger, but how do you actually work with developing clarity when you have anger instead of just anger and anger and anger?
That's why you have to develop your mindfulness, you know. Right away recognize the when you get angry. It's difficult. I understand, totally understand. If you have strong, you know, angry, then it's difficult to control uh, uh, that moment. But if you have, usually when we practice mindfulness, peace, and compassion like that, you have sort of your mind more open, right? Not really narrow. And then once you have that, you get angry, then you have a room, you know, you have a big room for think. Why am I get angry? What is the cause of? Is there an antidote? You know, you have a room for to think. As soon as you think, the power of anger goes down. I mean, me like that, you know. I think same, everybody. If I don't think and no room and very narrow my mind, I always blame the other side, not my inwardly. But oh, this is your fault, this and that. That then you more create, you feed your anger, completely change your face, become like red and tomatoes, you know, like that. Physically change. I can see that. Physically, anger change your body, change your mind, everything. Because you feed more and more, and then you make it more stronger power, right? But instead, no feed, and think about it. If you have a room for that, then slowly your anger goes down. And then sometimes I do that, and then after that, make me laugh. You know, oh, there is no really big reason why am I get. Sometimes, you know, little, you know, it's how you think. You know, it's not really the cause and condition. Well, how you think. Sometimes little things you get big angry. You know, it's how we think, how you deal with these kind of things. Yeah.
Is there any attachment in family relationship?
Yes, there are. That's why I'm talking about our relationship with our family, it's attachment. It's attachment. That's why we have a problem, our relationship. That's if we have a problem, our family. Problem with our parents, problem with our husband, wife, problem with our children because of attachment, not because of love and kindness, compassion, you know. Should we meditate? Yeah. We have only like 15 minutes. Relax and make you comfortable. And let go everything. If you can, 100% in the present moment. Don't think about past. Don't worry about in the future. Just bring your mind and when thoughts arise, you should, if you want, you can investigate in a little bit where they come from, where they go, but not investigate in very detail, you know. You don't have to do that. And let your thoughts dissolve into your nature, or I can say dissolve into the ground consciousness. And then you should focus on it as long as you can, you know. In this meditation, your mind is not focusing on anything but rest in a completely stable. And this is, we call it, this is not really, I mean, it depends how you see, how you feel, but usually for the beginners, this is not the nature, not nature, your mind, but this is the fundamental of your consciousness. So you completely relax and feel the peace, and let go your thoughts. So that's very important. And the thoughts arise from this and then disappear into it. That's we need to recognize, right? Our thoughts are also impermanence, you know. For example, when it is windy, the waves in the ocean sort of increase, right? When it is calm, and then ocean becomes stable and calm. So in the same way, thoughts appear in this ground consciousness, and this causes all the movement of thoughts, and one after another in the mind, and then destroy your meditation, right? So that's why just let them go and dissolve, let them dissolve into it, and then just to relax your mind and feel this peacefulness. It's very beautiful. And then if you do this more and more, your mindfulness always there. then if you have mindfulness, you are really be more sort of be careful, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever your actions, you're always present, 100% moment, 100%, you are just there. And then it, because then you do not harm yourself and others because of the mindfulness. But if you do not have this peacefulness, peaceful mind, then we are sort of, there is no mindfulness. Then whatever we do, it causes harm. That's why this peaceful mind is not really necessarily, if you do practice this, it's not necessarily recognize your nature mind, but this is the foundation of all, whatever you practice. So mindfulness, bodhisattva, the Shandadeva, the way of the bodhisattva, practice bodhisattva, first 3-4 chapters, he's talking about mindfulness, how it is important in our life to have mindfulness. So it's true. This is the foundation. This is the cause of peace and big heart, warm heartedness. But in order to develop our mindfulness, we first have to practice on how to develop our peace, inner peace. So just relax and do that, okay? For this time like 10 minutes.